Have you ever noticed how, as the years go by, conversations with neighbors seem to get a little more personal than they used to? You're standing by the mailbox or leaning on the fence in the evening, and before you know it, you've shared something that feels harmless in the moment. After all, neighbors are familiar faces. They wave, they smile, they ask how you're doing. And especially after 65, when routines slow down and social circles get smaller, those friendly chats can feel comforting. But here's something most people don't tell you. Not everything about your life should be common knowledge on your street, no matter how friendly the neighborhood feels. Today, we're talking about something incredibly important, especially as we get older. It's about protecting your privacy, your independence, and your peace of mind. The truth is, sharing certain personal details with neighbors after 65 can quietly create problems you never expected. Most of the time, there's no bad intention at the start. It's just conversation. But information has a way of traveling, being misunderstood, or being used in ways you never imagined. And once it's out there, you can't take it back. This conversation isn't about becoming secretive or suspicious of everyone around you. It's about being wise. You've lived long enough to know that kindness and caution can exist together. You can still be friendly, warm, and neighborly, while also keeping certain parts of your life private. That balance becomes more important with age, not less. So let's ease into this together. Imagine this as a quiet chat between friends, where I gently point out a few things that are better kept close to the chest. Not because you're doing anything wrong, but because you deserve to feel safe and in control of your life. Let's start with something many people share without a second thought: details about their finances. It often begins innocently. A neighbor might complain about rising prices, property taxes, or the cost of repairs. You nod, agree, and maybe mention how you're managing on your pension or savings. You might talk about selling an investment, paying off your mortgage, or helping a grandchild financially. It feels normal. It feels relatable. But this kind of information can quietly change how people see you. When neighbors know too much about your financial situation, assumptions start to form. Some may see you as someone who has extra and might be able to lend money. Others may see you as vulnerable, someone who's struggling and might be easier to pressure or manipulate. Even well-meaning people can talk. A comment you make to one neighbor can reach another, and then another, until suddenly your financial life feels like public knowledge. There's also a more serious side to this. Sadly, older adults are often targeted for financial exploitation. When people know you live alone, rely on fixed income, or have savings, it can attract the wrong kind of attention. You might never notice it at first. It can come disguised as advice, concern, or offers to help. Protecting your financial details isn't about distrust. It's about protecting yourself from situations you shouldn't have to deal with at this stage of life. Another area that feels natural to talk about, but can quietly cause trouble, is your health. As we age, health becomes a common topic. Aches, medications, doctor visits, surgeries, and diagnoses often come up in casual conversation. A neighbor asks how you're feeling, and you answer honestly. There's nothing wrong with acknowledging health challenges, but going into too much detail can sometimes work against you. When neighbors know specific details about your health, it can affect how they treat you. Some may become overly intrusive, constantly checking on you or questioning your choices. Others may start to doubt your abilities, even if you're perfectly capable of managing your daily life. Word can spread quickly, and before you know it, people are talking about what you can or can't do without really knowing the full picture. In some cases, this can even lead to unwanted involvement. Neighbors might feel justified in contacting family members, landlords, or authorities because they think they're helping. While their intentions may not be harmful, the result can feel like a loss of control over your own life. Your health is personal. You get to decide who knows what and how much. Then there's something closely connected to health, but a little different: Information about when you're alone or vulnerable. This might include mentioning that your spouse has passed away, that your children live far away, or that you struggle on certain days. Again, these are deeply human realities, and there's no shame in them. But sharing too much about your solitude or routine can unintentionally put you at risk. When people know exactly when you're home alone, when you go to bed, or when you leave for appointments, it creates a pattern. Most neighbors won't think twice about it, but all it takes is one person or one piece of information passed to the wrong ears for that pattern to be noticed. Safety after 65 isn't just about locks and lights, it's also about information. The less predictable your life appears to others, the safer you tend to be. This doesn't mean you should hide your life or pretend to be someone you're not. It simply means choosing your words with care. You can say you're doing fine without explaining every detail. You can be friendly without being fully open. That kind of quiet boundary is a form of self-respect. As you can see, these first few areas we've talked about might seem harmless on the surface. Finances, health, daily routines, they're part of everyday life. But when shared too freely, especially after 65, they can slowly chip away at your privacy and independence, and that's something worth protecting. There are still a few more personal details that deserve the same kind of careful thought, and understanding them can make a real difference in how secure and confident you feel in your own neighborhood as the years go on. And this idea of protecting your independence leads naturally into another area many people don't think twice about sharing: details about your family relationships and personal conflicts. Neighbors often ask innocent questions. How often do your children visit? Do they help you with things around the house? Are you close to your relatives? In casual conversation, it can feel polite to answer honestly. You might mention that your son lives far away, that your daughter is busy with her own family, or that you don't always see eye to eye with certain relatives. The problem isn't the truth itself. The problem is how easily those details can be misunderstood or misused. When neighbors know too much about strained relationships or limited family involvement, they may draw conclusions that don't reflect reality. Some might assume you're unsupported or isolated, even if you're emotionally content and capable. Others may feel encouraged to step into roles you never asked them to fill, offering advice, opinions, or interference that feels intrusive rather than helpful. In some situations, sharing family tensions can quietly weaken your position. If neighbors believe you have no close family watching out for you, they may feel more comfortable crossing boundaries. It could be small at first, like unsolicited suggestions about your home or lifestyle, but over time it can grow into a sense that others feel entitled to comment on your personal decisions. Your family dynamics are deeply personal. Keeping them private helps maintain your authority over your own life. Closely connected to this is another detail that deserves careful handling: legal or paperwork-related information. This includes things like wills, property ownership, power of attorney, insurance policies, or plans you've made for the future. These topics sometimes come up when neighbors talk about estate planning, selling homes, or preparing for what-if scenarios. You might be tempted to share that you've updated your will, named someone as a decision maker, or plan to downsize someday. While it can feel practical to discuss these matters openly, doing so can create unintended complications. Once people know specifics about your legal arrangements, opinions start forming. Someone may disagree with your choices and feel compelled to say so. Others may begin treating you differently based on what they think you own or plan to leave behind. In rare but serious cases, this kind of information can attract manipulation, pressure, or attempts to influence your decisions. Legal matters represent your wishes, your values, and your hard-earned life. They're not casual conversation topics. Keeping these details private doesn't mean you're being secretive. It means you're honoring the importance of the choices you've made and limiting outside influence where it doesn't belong. Another personal area that often slips into conversation is your daily habits and routines. It might seem harmless to mention that you go for a walk every morning at the same time, attend a weekly class, or always leave town to visit family on certain dates. Neighbors chat about schedules all the time. It creates a sense of familiarity and connection. But familiarity can also create predictability, and predictability can sometimes reduce safety. When others know your routines too well, they know when you're home and when you're not. They know when you're most alert and when you're likely to be resting. Again, most people won't misuse this information, but you don't need to assume bad intentions to recognize that discretion is wise. Safety after 65 comes from small, quiet choices that limit how much of your life is visible to others. You can still be social without giving a full rundown of your schedule. A simple, general response keeps conversation flowing while protecting your privacy. You're not obligated to share details just because someone asks politely. Your time and routines belong to you. Then there's a topic that can feel especially tricky: personal struggles, fears, or doubts about aging. Sometimes a neighbor asks how you're coping or shares their own worries about getting older. It can feel comforting to open up, to admit you're scared of losing independence, worried about memory, or unsure about the future. These are very real feelings, and acknowledging them is healthy, but not every listener needs to know the full depth of those concerns. When neighbors know your fears, it can subtly shift the balance in how they interact with you. Some may start treating you as fragile, even if you're strong and capable. Others may unintentionally reinforce those fears by constantly checking, reminding, or warning you. In certain cases, openly shared doubts can be taken as signs that you're not confident in your own decisions, which can invite unwanted influence. This doesn't mean you should keep everything bottled up, it simply means choosing the right audience. Close friends, trusted family members, or professionals are often better places to explore deeper fears. With neighbors, a lighter touch helps preserve your sense of strength and autonomy in the community. All of this might sound like a lot to think about, and that's understandable. After 65, many people crave connection more than ever. Loneliness can be real, and friendly neighbors can feel like a lifeline. But connection doesn't require full transparency. You can share warmth, humor, kindness, and everyday stories without handing over the keys to your private world. Think of it like this: your life is a house. Some rooms are open to guests, welcoming and comfortable. Other rooms are private, meant only for you or those you deeply trust. Neighbors don't need access to every room to feel welcome on the porch. By being mindful of what you share about your family dynamics, legal matters, routines, and inner worries, you quietly protect the life you've built. You keep control where it belongs, in your own hands. And that sense of control becomes even more valuable as the years go on. There's one more deeply personal area that often gets overlooked, something many people talk about without realizing how sensitive it can be. Understanding why this last detail matters can help you maintain dignity, security, and confidence in your everyday interactions. That last area is something almost everyone has, something we use every day, and something neighbors often notice without even trying: your personal boundaries when it comes to favors, access, and help. This might not sound like information at first, but the way you talk about what you can do, what you need, and what you allow others to do for you reveals a great deal. After 65, this becomes especially important. It often starts small. A neighbor offers to fix something, pick up groceries, drive you to an appointment, or hold on to a spare key just in case. Gratitude is natural, and sometimes the help is genuinely useful. But when you openly share how much you rely on that help or how difficult certain tasks feel, it can slowly blur boundaries. People begin to feel entitled to involvement in your life, your home, and your decisions. Once neighbors believe they are essential to your daily functioning, the relationship can shift. What began as kindness can turn into control, expectations, or unwanted opinions. They may feel justified entering your space, questioning your choices, or speaking on your behalf.
In rare cases, this can even open the door to exploitation or pressure. Your ability to manage your own life, even with occasional help, is a form of dignity worth protecting. This is why being careful about how you talk about your needs matters. Accepting help doesn't mean advertising dependence. You can say thank you without explaining everything you struggle with. You can accept a favor without offering a detailed picture of your limitations. Quiet confidence goes a long way in maintaining respect. When you look at everything we've talked about together, a pattern emerges. Financial details, health information, family dynamics, legal matters, daily routines, emotional struggles, and reliance on help all share one thing in common. When shared too freely with neighbors, they can slowly erode privacy, safety, and independence. None of this happens overnight. It happens gradually through friendly conversations and good intentions. The good news is that protecting yourself doesn't require confrontation or fear. It requires awareness. You can still be warm, friendly, and connected without oversharing. A smile, a kind word, and a general answer are often enough. You don't owe anyone the full story of your life. If you ever feel uncomfortable after a conversation, that feeling is worth listening to. It's not rudeness, it's intuition. With age comes wisdom, and part of that wisdom is knowing when to keep something just for yourself. As you move through your days, remember that your life experience has value. You've earned the right to peace, security, and respect. Choosing what not to share is just as important as choosing what to say. Small, thoughtful boundaries can protect you in ways that locks and alarms never could. If any of this resonated with you, you're not alone. Many people over 65 face these same quiet challenges and never talk about them. I'd love to hear your thoughts or experiences in the comments. Have you ever shared something that later felt uncomfortable? Your story might help someone else feel less alone. If you found this conversation helpful, please take a moment to like the video and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us continue sharing practical, honest advice for living confidently and independently at any age. And remember this as you go forward. Being friendly doesn't mean being exposed. You can enjoy your neighborhood, your connections, and your community while still protecting the life you've worked so hard to build. Here's to feeling safe, respected, and in control, today and in the years ahead.